Our next inductee was another one of Ralph's star clients. We mentioned it earlier, born here in the Berg. Bill Froelich was so dominant at Penn Hills High that he was named to the Pennsylvania All-Century football team and also named Male Athlete of the Year by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette because he won the WPIAL Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. Highly recruited all over the country, he decided to stay close to home and go to Pitt. There's a theme going on here. Do you hear it all day? Pitt, Pitt, Pitt. Why not? All-American in 3 of his seasons, unanimous All-American 2 of those. He also became the first offensive lineman to finish in the top 10 in Heisman voting 2 years in a row. How good do you have to be as an offensive lineman to get Heisman votes? The first time I saw Bill play in person, keep in mind, back then we didn't have a plethora of these 24-hour sports networks and every game wasn't on TV. I went down to the Backyard Brawl in Morgantown and I saw Bill walk out onto the field. He had his helmet on, the pads, he's got those pads on his forearms. And I said, my Lord, that man is a beast. I said, there is no question he is going to be a first-round pick. Now I understand what all the hype is about. And we heard the term, you hear it all the time now, pancake block. Well, guess where that came from? The way he flattened all those defensive linemen when he was playing at the University of Pittsburgh. As we mentioned, Bill was selected number 2 overall by the Falcons, where he moved from tackle to guard. Some guys have trouble with that, some don't. Bill did it seamlessly. I called a friend of mine in Atlanta who was the quarterback of the Falcons back then, David Archer, and I said, Arch, give me a story about Bill Froelich. So he said, Jerome, let me ask you a question. Who's the best defensive lineman that you ever saw play football? I said, boy, that'd either have to be Mean Joe Green or Reggie White. And he said, I'll tell you what, I never played against Mean Joe, but I played against Reggie. We're in a game up in Philadelphia. Jeff Van Note, he's huffing and he's puffing. And, Jeff Van Note was an all-pro lineman. And he looks over and he goes, fellas, somebody's got to help me out here and get Reggie off me. We're not going to have a prayer. He goes, I looked over and through his face mask, I saw this wry smile. And all I heard was, I gotcha. And Reggie White was a non-factor for the rest of that game. The great Reggie White, a non-factor. That is how good Bill Froelich was. He told me that his teammates called him the silent giant. He said, don't get me wrong, he had a great personality and he'd like to have fun and have jokes and go out for beer once in a while. He would not talk about himself. He wouldn't talk about himself to his teammates. He wouldn't talk about himself to other players, to the media, even the fans. He didn't like to brag. He was not that kind of a man. But he said, Art told me, he goes, Jerome, the way he hit the weights and the way he practiced elevated every one of our teammates' commitment to win. They saw Froelich in there working twice as hard as everybody else. They knew they had to step up their game. That is what you call a leader on a football team. Bill was All-Pro in 1986 and 1987, made the Pro Bowl 4 straight years, 86 through 89. And to the delight of pro wrestling fans, something tells me Ralph had something to do with this. He was involved in WrestleMania 2 when all those NFL guys went up there. I remember I actually paid for that on pay-per-view, but it was very wildly entertaining. After he played a little bit for the Lions at the end of his career. After he retired, he was an announcer for the Falcons and then started a very, very highly successful insurance practice. Now, Bill left us, unfortunately and tragically, at the far too early age of 56. But he left an indelible mark on college football fans here in Pittsburgh and pro football fans in Atlanta and Detroit. So it is my honor right now to welcome his wife, Susan, to the stage to accept on Bill's behalf.
Thank you. It's difficult coming up here because he's so missed by my family who I couldn't be okay. They're so supportive, and all of his friends who now support me. I so appreciate it. I'm going to be so quick because it's after 9. We're done. So thank you, Steve, and the Croatian Foundation. I really wish Bill was here to accept this honor. Bill used to say, in order to be successful, you don't have to be special. You just have to be about the things that most are not. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No bullshit. That was Bill. There is no better place than Pittsburgh that reflects these values, and there is no better representation of Pittsburgh than Bill. Once again, I would like to thank the foundation, Ralph and the Sindridge family. Thank you for everything. I love you guys so much. What you did for Bill, what you did for me and my family. Bill and our dogs. That's my family. So once again, I would like to thank the foundation for this incredible honor. And on behalf of my truly beloved husband, I love you forever and always. Sorry about that.
By the way, to show you how the Croatian community brings people together, I just learned tonight Susan and I live about 5 miles away from each other. How about that? We're neighbors.